The markets are bleeding, and I wanted to make a second follow-up update onto my previous video. My Wi-Fi is terrible, so apologies. If I tried to load up more stuff. I actually wanted to go live, but sadly, it doesn't look like it's possible. So the futures market opened over in the United States of America. You can see that we're obviously incredibly tired of winning. I mean, everything's down a lot. So I don't know what to say. I think we're so tired of winning that it's insane. I have to stay awake until 3 a.m. and probably have to skip my class in the morning because of how tired I am from winning. But the Russell 2000 futures opened, and we're actually at the threshold already for pausing the markets, and this is before the markets actually open. This is just the futures market. The cash markets haven't even opened yet, and all of this tension and all of this drop between traditional finance and also Bitcoin that's now down 6% in the past 24 hours, and it's actually trading below $78,000 US. Ethereum dying below $1,600, the lowest it has been since October of 2023 when the bull market actually began, which is insane. And guys, I will be making a much more in-depth update video for you tomorrow when I do have some sleep in me and when I can access stronger Wi-Fi. So a much more in-depth video is coming out tomorrow, but this is just for just to bring out the breaking news and let you know what is happening and why things are happening. The most important chart is this one. I mean, you can clearly see that Bitcoin is still mimicking global liquidity with a 109-day delay exactly. And I think there is going to be a sideways chop for 1 month, and then there is going to be a massive pump. Everybody's anticipating a huge black swan Monday tomorrow, and if markets do continue at this pace, it is possible that we continue dropping massively going into tomorrow's market open. And if that is the case, it's actually going to be the worst ever 3-day losing streak for the stock market since 1987, which is unbelievable. And to be honest with you, if you're wondering why all this is happening, it is obviously from Trump's tariff policies. Just 4 hours ago, the EU confirmed that they would be doing more retaliatory tariffs against the United States of America. You're seeing countries like Vietnam, you're seeing countries, the smaller economy countries saying that, okay, we're going to drop our tariffs. In exchange for you dropping your tariffs, we're going to get rid of our tariffs. But China and Europe, which are the main two important economic powers, they aren't dropping their tariffs, and they're going harder in their policy and fighting back at a much stronger pace. There is some good news, though. There is a CME gap for Bitcoin at $84,500. These fill almost 99% of the time. So either this week or next week, Bitcoin will be coming back to $84,500, and that's why I'm actually okay with accumulating Bitcoin at these prices. I think it's completely okay, given the consideration that this is one of the worst drops actually in terms of selling pressure in recent stock market history. You can see that the selling pressure we see currently on traditional finance is higher than what we saw back in the 2008 financial crisis, back in 2020, and this is unbelievable. It is absolutely incomprehensible. And when there is such selling pressure, it is always a good idea to be accumulating and buying as much as possible. So I think it's a great buy the dip. And guys, like, we're seeing one of the worst crashes in history, and Bitcoin is at $77,000, which I find to be completely remarkable. Like, if you are lost and if you really think that Bitcoin is crashing, zoom out and look at this chart. It is definitely not crashing. We're still up around 50% since August of 2024, whereas the S&P 500 is down actually a couple of percentage points compared to where it was in 2024. And the issue with the S&P is we're creating a new lower low on the weekly time frame, which can signal that this downward shift in the economy will likely continue for the upcoming months, and we're not going to be seeing a massive V-shaped recovery, which is fine, right? It is likely that cryptocurrencies see a similar consolidation period, just like what happened between March and November of last year, and then we continued seeing the pump. I think it's a great possibility. I'm still accounting for global liquidity because of how crazy we've been tracking it. It's literally almost dollar to dollar with the 109-day delay. I think we're going to consolidate until the end of May, or in fact, sorry, the end of April and the first week of May, and then go back into the $90,000 range mid-May going into the Bitcoin conference. So I'm still optimistic. You can see that Vanguard is telling its clients to not worry and to not shift their portfolio strategy into selling, which is pretty weird. And I think the only way to recover this market and to bail out the hedge funds, which are looking like they're going to be actually going bankrupt due to all the margin calls that are happening, I think the only way to resolve this is to print money. And, Trump is accomplishing what he set out to achieve, if that is really what he set out to achieve with the bond rates, with the interest rates on the bond yields, the 10-year yields. They've gone down to below 4%. And obviously they have to refinance around $9 trillion to pay off debt. So they have done a successful job in reducing the bond yield and to refinance on that debt to prevent spending interest, which would be more than what they pay for defense on a yearly basis. So if that was the whole gimmick, then it has worked out. But I'm struggling to believe that you want to wipe out trillions of dollars from the economy to do that, or even if it's to just shift the wealth gap in America, which Scott Besson referred to in his interview with Tucker Carlson. He mentioned that 10% of Americans own around 88% of the equity market, and 50% of Americans are in debt, and he wants to create a reshift and a reshuffle in that economy. But I just don't know if this is a sustainable way to do it. I understand you want to change the wealth gap, and you want to make sure that everything is made in America and not be dependent on other countries. But this harsh of foreign policy and this harshness of economic policy, I don't understand. And they're clearly going to a war with the Federal Reserve. And Fed Chair Powell, in his talk on Friday, said that he's not going to be giving in to politicians. He's going to be doing what makes sense for the American economy. And you look into the labor market is doing fantastically well. Why should he introduce an emergency rate cut when the actual economy and not the illusion economy of the stock market is actually going well in the background? And inflation is coming down to levels they expect, although it will likely increase in the long term due to the tariff situation. So honestly, if anybody's telling you that they know for sure why everything is happening and what everything is happening for, I can tell you that nobody really knows anything for sure. And all of what we can do is just based off of speculation. But markets are dumping even more. Let's see how traditional finance opens tomorrow. There's still many hours until TradFi opens. The most important points are that we have a huge CME gap on Bitcoin. And obviously, how much further can we dump to? We're below the $78,000 resistance or support that I spoke to you about a couple of hours ago. And the real next line of support lies at $73,000. And it's very possible that Bitcoin does dip into that $73,000 range. And if we do that, then again, massive buy the dip opportunity. There was a meme I wanted to post of a guy saying, you're going to have to buy this dip. And he says, the old guy says, yep, I'll do it. I can buy this dip. But anyways, I'll have to find it later on. It's just so late at night and I'm not going to get any sleep. But Bitcoin, 77,600. I know it's a bit depressing. Ethereum is basically dying. All coins are pretty much dead. Let me see if I can open up the crypto bubbles and take a look at exactly how much down altcoins are on the day. Yeah, it's not looking good. On the week, it's looking even worse. On the month, it's looking even crazier. And on the year, year is okay. Year is not too bad. For Mantra, but Solana 41%, ICP 73%, Gala 77%, so on and so forth. There is one reality, guys. If you buy this altcoin dip, if you buy this Bitcoin and Ethereum dip, you are going to become filthy rich if you just hold for the next 10 months because quantitative easing is going to happen. They're going to print money to pay off all their troubles. There's no other way of doing this. If you increase the money supply, then you're going to pump equities. And it's going to happen by the end of this year or the beginning of next year. So if you can buy into these dips, it's going to be a phenomenal opportunity. And with that said, guys, have a great night. Like my brain really is functioning with borderlineness, and I really wanted to live stream, but unfortunately my network is terrible. So I'm going to upload this video. And by the way, Ethereum is down 40% since Eric Trump posted. It's a good time to be adding to Ethereum. That's just another funny thing I wanted to bring up. But yeah, guys, I will be talking about all of the economic situations in much more detail when my brain is working, and likely in the morning time. So don't panic. It's okay. It is one of the worst crashes in history, but if you are in crypto more so than traditional finance, things are okay. I mean, if you're Bitcoin heavy, if you're in Ethereum, then not so much. But Bitcoin heavy, you're fine. Keep buying the dip. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Try to sleep. And as always, bye bye.